So then we can just adjust everything up a little bit.
Okay, stay right there, dear. All right.
Are we back?
All right, cool. Kurt, you're joining us too. Come on. You can see how many people it took to actually succeed at this. Let's fill in on both sides. All right. Good morning. Everybody filling in? The photographers would like a few more on that side, if I'm gathering the gesture correctly. It is a special day. For the first time since the 1950s, the mayor of Detroit can say that the city of Detroit is leading the population growth in the state of Michigan. In 2024, our population growth exceeded the national average. We passed Portland, Oregon from 27th to 26th place. We have Boston and Las Vegas ahead of us, but we are moving the right direction. The Census Bureau says 7,000 more residents of Detroit in 2024, and they revised their numbers for 2023 and acknowledged 7,000 moved in 2023, which means 2 straight years of population growth of 7,000 a year, more than 1%. It is, when you look at the numbers, last year triple the increase of the next highest city, Grand Rapids. And I admire what Grand Rapids has done over the years. I've been used to watching them lead the state in population growth. But to see the city of Detroit coming back the way it has is remarkable. There are so many people to thank for it, but I want to start with thanking the people who helped me in the fight with the Census Bureau, because here is the issue that we have had. We've known our population is growing for a while. Up until this year, the Census Bureau in its annual estimates would only count new housing construction. In the city of Detroit, we have 2,000 vacant houses a year get renovated and families move into. By their federal rules, the Census Bureau would not count the renovation of a vacant house. And aside from litigation, I just want to thank the team. Tricia Stein has led our team and is now literally the municipal expert in America on how the Census Bureau does annual estimates. But Mike Bloomberg, Bloomberg Associates, Rose Gill brought in national expertise. Kurt Metzger, who's Michigan expert, was there. Professor Jeff Morinoff at the University of Michigan, who's been here a number of times, and the state demographer, Jacqueline Butler. And we made the case that said, this is not right. if you go to Naples or you go to Phoenix, all the housing units are newly constructed. We understand why you count new housing units. But in older cities that are coming back, we've got 2,000 houses a year where families are moving in, and you're not counting them. And to the Census Bureau's credit, they looked at the studies we gave them, they pulled out addresses, and they visited houses themselves. And they said, they're right. This isn't correct. And so with this week's release, the Census Bureau nationally, for the first time, is counting newly occupied, renovated houses in cities' population base. And so here's what that meant. Last year, the Fed said we gained 1,800 people in 2023. They just revised that number up to 7,000. They realized they failed to count the renovated houses. And this year, another 7,000 people. And here's what makes it up. In each year, basically, we have 2,000 vacant houses that get occupied by families, and we build 2,000 new units, the Book Towers and the Water Squares and the Paquette Flats and all that you see being built. This is what happens when everybody is counted. And for all of the maligning they've taken, the 200 auctions a week that the land bank is holding, or 200 auctions a month that the land bank is holding, and the sales are driving this recovery because they have put these houses back in the neighborhood. And what's remarkable as you drive through the neighborhoods today is you see work being done on the houses. Now we're far beyond the land bank houses. People are taking vacant houses and fixing them up. And with the work, you got Richard Hosey, who's up here, who's building 400 and some units over there at Fisher 21. You were just with me a day or two ago with the 100-plus units that are being renovated right now at Lee Plaza. All over this city, new units are being constructed, vacant houses are being renovated. There is no reason that this trend is not going to continue. And now that the Census Bureau is recognizing both renovated houses and new houses, I think you're going to see the city of Detroit lead the state of Michigan for quite a ways to come. And so what we have here is, this is driven by people moving into the neighborhoods. There's no question about it. You have many of our block club leaders, neighborhood association heads, who will all have their own stories about their own blocks and their own families being moved in. And now the neighborhoods aren't forgotten by the Census Bureau anymore. Now they're being counted, and it means great news for the city of Detroit. All of our efforts for the last 10 or 12 years are being recognized by the national statistics. And you're going to get a chance here to hear from Kurt Metzger in a minute, who has been he doesn't get paid anything. He just comes in month after month with the U of M folks and the Bloomberg folks and says, this is wrong, and really helped us understand what was wrong in the national census formula. More importantly, got the Census Bureau to admit that they needed to change the formula nationally to be fair to cities. And so I want to thank all of them. But right now, I'd like to bring up Council President Mary Sheffield. The council has been a partner from reducing crime to building housing to beautifying parks to bringing jobs back, everything that has led to this extraordinary turnaround in Detroit's population has been a partnership between the mayor and city council and the neighborhoods. So please welcome Council President Mary Sheffield.
Thank you and good morning. It is truly a great day in the city of Detroit. Detroit is coming back. This is the place to be, and the numbers are indicating that. I am here just to say congratulations. It is truly an honor as the city council president and leading this council the last 4 years and serving on the council the last decade to be a part of this partnership that we see today. Today really is a testament to our collaborative work. Everyone that is standing here, the mayor's office, the administration, the city council who is not present, but I want to speak on their behalf because each and every one of my colleagues works extremely hard to represent their districts and to represent the council at large. And so we have an administration and a council that is working together. We are prioritizing public safety. We are expanding economic opportunities. And we are ensuring that investment is coming back into our neighborhoods and that we are expanding access to affordable housing. And all of those things are the reason why we are now seeing a population increase here in the city of Detroit. And so again, congratulations to everyone who contributed to the success, and we are honored to be partners in the city's growth. Let me thank all of the neighborhoods, all of the residents, all of the block clubs, our CVI groups, our police department, our churches, our private sector community, because really what we see here in Detroit is a collaborative effort with all hands on deck to ensure that it's not just government, but it is everyone working together to ensure Detroit's comeback is strong and united. And for that, I am extremely proud as a Detroiter. We know that young people are driving a lot of the growth in Detroit, which means we're creating opportunities. And we now can start to compete with Chicago and LA and Miami, because I believe that Detroit is just as good, if not better, than those cities. So congratulations. Let's continue this work, because we know that Detroit is on the rise and we have to continue to grow our population. So thank you, Madam. I'm not Madam, but Mr. Mayor, excuse me. So sorry, Mr. Mayor, the entire administration, and everyone that is here today for your collaborative work. Congratulations.
Sounds like you've been practicing that. I want to now bring up somebody who's been a partner every step of the way, the great Kurt Metzger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Two tough acts to follow. But I wanted to say, after his comments, I am preparing a bill for that free service that I've been providing for the last few years. Just kidding. I moved here from Cincinnati to Detroit in 1975 to work for the Census Bureau. I'm not going to give you my entire resume, but 1975 marked the middle of a decade where over 300,000 people left the city of Detroit. And that was on top of the population that had started dropping in 1957. It's the best as we can tell, 1957. My career since that time has always been every year looking forward to population estimates coming up, thinking, how much are we going to lose this time? Or maybe we're going to be surprised, and seeing year after year population losses. Have to report it, and the same old story, on and on and on. I semi-retired in 2013 thinking maybe that'll help. Maybe I was the problem. And then we had a mayor come in who said that population gain was his major focus. That was going to be the measure of success. And so yet we continued to suffer losses. We had a very problematic census in 2020. I feel we got slammed. We got undercounted. The process was poorly done. It was rushed. You know all this story. Unfortunately, we had to live with the low count that we received, and we continued to see losses for the 2 years after the census. But now, we finally, in spite of, I've been seeing the city growing since 2020, certainly, expecting each year to see it. Finally, last year we saw that first hint. Luckily, it's been revised upward, and then this year we saw another 7,000 added. I think we can call it a trend, and I think that based on the developments that are going on, the mayor mentioned quite a few, this trend is just going to continue and get stronger in the years to come. It's wonderful that I was pointed out as being a help. I just want to recognize the team, Trish Stein, and the group that has been working. It has been a pleasure for over 3 years doing Zoom calls. I didn't have to get out of my pajamas. I could do all the work. Very easy, right? Occasionally getting out and coming downtown. But it's been just a pleasure to do the work. It's still continuing. We're still challenging on other fronts. But to get the Census Bureau, I worked there for 15 years and have been involved with it for 45 years. To get them to change the way they do business, to get them to actually open up their books to show you how they do business is an amazing accomplishment, and I really do congratulate the city for that. It's been a wonderful to be part of this, and I said the work of all this work, the results of this work, that we see today, that Detroit is growing again, and I see a continued growth in the future. Thanks so much.
So good morning, everyone. My name is Erin Harris, and I was also a part of the 2020 group that the mayor created to help out with the census. We didn't do well at that time, but today is a great day that we can announce how much we have grown in this city. I want to say that we have a lot of census captains here. We have Vicky Kovari, who helped lead that team as well. And we're going to have Richard Hosey come up, and also one of our census captains in a moment. But Richard Hosey, who is one of our developers in the city, and we all know that housing and affordable housing especially is important to the growth of our city. So I'd like to have Richard Hosey come up and give us a couple words.
Thank you. I've had the honor of watching this process happen ever since I got back, moved back home in 2008, and when the mayor came on and the city council, it transformed everything. It just kind of pressed everything into a overdrive, making sure that the focus was on the neighborhoods, and that we would expand some of the infrastructure put together prior to the administration and make it work for everyone. And so prior to moving back home, I had the opportunity to live in a lot of different cities and cover a lot of different cities in their real estate and development. And I think Council President was being humble in that we're just better than those cities. And you know, we're better than those cities for so many reasons, but mostly because of our commitment to making sure that we don't grow through displacement, and that we focus on the neighborhoods, and that we make sure there's opportunity for all, and that our city council works so well with our administration, and that our administration has such deep knowledge of every detail of every problem. And that's what I really enjoyed watching with the mayor, is how deeply he gets into every problem so they could come up with the right solution, and how city council works with that, and his expert staff. I wouldn't want to be any other place. I wouldn't develop any other place. And this is the best city. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mr. Hosey. And now I want to bring up one of our census captains. She's also a leader in District 1, representing Grandmont area. That's Miss Annie Mae Holt.
Good morning, and thank you so much for this opportunity. I landed in the city of Detroit the night of the fireworks, which was 1967, and I believe the census was 1,800,000 that year. And can you imagine how many people were sprawled out on the Henry Ford Auditorium ground in participation of the fireworks that night? You could see nothing but people, and it was a beautiful night, a beautiful welcoming me to the city of Detroit. Okay, I moved to Grandmont No. 1 Improvement Association in 1978, and as the mayor has mentioned, the census is demonstrating that we're having folks move back to our city, and I imagine a number of those citizens are young people. And the pleasure I personally receive when I see young folks, because now my daughters are 50 plus, walking through the neighborhood with their young people. I can remember my oldest daughter, she would drive her big wheel and fastly turn into the driveway on two wheels. And although we don't see the big wheel on my block, we do see, again, young people and their families. I worked under Aaron, taskmaster, doing the census, and unfortunately, my experience with that opportunity was that our citizens tended to be somewhat suspicious as to what these results would be used. And to know today that we've accumulated somewhere, or it's documented somewhere, 7,000 of citizens did in fact submit to the census. That in itself is encouraging. To the young people who have moved into our city of Detroit, please take advantage of the mayor's awesome tool that's called Improve Detroit. There, you can become very empowered and controlling of your quality of life. Thank you again for the citizens of Detroit for the job you're doing. Detroit City Council, Mayor Duggan, and his taskmaster staff. Thank you.
And before we take questions, and I'll have Kurt join me to answer details, I have to do a special thank you to the leader of this operation. She likes to stay in the back of the room, but for the last 3 years, the person who has led every piece of this is our policy director, Tricia Stein. It's hard to describe how much she means, because the more I dug into it, the madder I got, and I've expressed that view pretty harshly, publicly, and sued the Census Bureau. And the meeting would be coming up, and I want to go give him a piece of my mind. And Tricia said, let me handle this meeting without you. and with the help of the state demographer and Kurt and U of M and Bloomberg, they just calmly laid out the facts to, as Kurt says, get them to a remarkable thing. For the Census Bureau, they actually revised their national policy twice. A year ago, they revised it to stop counting demolitions against us. They were counting every demolition as 2 people leaving the city. We got that fixed a year ago. They changed that policy nationally, and then this year changed the policy to give credit for renovated houses. And we got one more policy change we're still shooting for next year, but Tricia's leadership is the reason we got here. And with that, we'll take any questions. And Kurt, come on up here in case they have technical questions for me.
Mr. Mayor, Gary Hunter with the Shot News. Yeah, it's me again. My biggest question is, and I know Vicky's right behind you, why are we not doing more advertising, at least in the minority papers? If we want our population to grow, people need to know what we offer. You know, I believe in the programs that some of the city departments are doing, but we just scared to advertise with the black papers.
I do not tell Vicki Thomas and the team how to do it, and I'm not that interested in self-interested questions.
Well, it's not self-interested.
No, I'm not having this conversation.
It's publicizing the city of Detroit, Mr. Mayor.
You're pursuing your own personal interests.
No, it's the interests of the city. When do Detroit becomes for Detroit?
So you can talk to Vicki Thomas about the advertising decisions of the city. This is not the forum for it.
Well, just so you know, it's not about self. It's about the city. I live here.
When somebody says it's not about me, we know what it means. Please, next question.
That's disrespectful, Mr. Mayor, just so you know.
I think you've been disrespectful in the way you tried to use your position this way. Next question,
Mr.
please.
President. Mr. Mayor, that's not appropriately addressed.
You and I are not going.
I'm asking why we're not publicizing what we're doing. And if you got a problem with me, then let's talk about it.
You've engaged in personal attacks on my staff at these things. We're not doing that. Go ahead. Somebody have a question about the population.
All right, Darren Cunningham with Channel 7. Mr. Mayor, can you talk about retention, future growth? How does the city keep this going?
Yeah, I would say go to buildingdetroit.org. We're auctioning 3 vacant houses today at the land bank. There is plenty of room for folks to continue to move into the neighborhoods, and you've got a number of people up here who are building new housing. So we've got jobs continuing to move in. We've got spectacular parks continue to be built in the neighborhoods and on the riverfront. It's just a good time to be in Detroit, and I think this is going to keep going.
All right. In any particular areas of the city where you're seeing this growth?
Yeah. Again, you can go neighborhood by neighborhood. I could drive you through neighborhoods like Morningside, where half the houses were vacant 10 years ago, or Marygrove, where half the houses were vacant 10 years ago, and now you see them 90% occupied. And there's folks here who could take you down their particular blocks. If you look at what happened on property values, Alvin Horn's maps, the places that have doubled and tripled in value are almost entirely the places where people move back in and renovated houses move back into the neighborhood. That's where we've seen the growth.
All right, thanks.
Hi, I have a question actually for each of you. Mayor, are there any lawsuits remaining, and can you talk about the county cap rule and how that has really affected the city? And then, so I'm sorry, my other question for Kurt, actually, you mentioned last year that you thought the count was a little closer to 650,000 or more. If you could address that afterward.
Yeah, the county cap is more complicated than any of you are interested in, but we are litigating it and we are going to win. And it's an odd thing. The state counts, I mean, the Census Bureau counts the state on one methodology, counts counties on another methodology, and counts cities on a third methodology. And so when you count different ways, they never match. If you use the housing unit method for the cities and didn't deduct the so-called county cap, we would be 10 or 20,000 higher than we are today. The question of whether they should be reducing the number of people per house, and that's what they do. They artificially reduce the number of people per house if we get above the rest of the county. It isn't right. It's in litigation. 2 years ago, we were in litigation over counting the demolitions against us. It got resolved. A year ago, we were in litigation over the fact they wouldn't count the renovated vacant houses. It's been resolved. I'm hopeful a year from now, the Census Bureau will revise its position, and you would see another 10 or 20,000 growth. And Kurt can talk about the county cap better than I can and the other issues.
I don't think you want to hear about the county cap, but it is problematic insofar as when the county population is just developed using births, deaths, and immigration and migration within the country. They set a population, so Wayne County's population comes out in March. Detroit and the 42 other communities in Wayne County come out in May. Those communities have to add up to the Wayne County population, regardless of what's going on within those cities. And we won't go into the details, but what it does, it tends to obviously push down. There's a population count that's come up. It gets adjusted downward because of this county cap. And Detroit always ends up losing considerable amount of population. Back to Dana's question, you're not supposed to remember what I said last year, but I believe, and I mentioned it again, and Vicki can support this, I believe that the Census Bureau vastly undercounted the census. We did research at the time. We came up with some estimates. I believe that the city was closer to 250 back in 2020. And we'd be moving forward from there. I mean, I'm sorry, 650, not 250, but 650. And I think what we did in terms of looking at housing counts, the changes between 2019 and 20, that Detroit lost more housing than any city in the country, vastly more. We know that they did not count all occupied housing units. They rushed through. They didn't provide enough personnel in the field to follow up on Detroit's follow-up process, because Detroit did not respond as high on the internet, so there was much more follow-up work to do. The Census Bureau didn't account for that. Number of reasons that we've put forward that says the census undercounted. So yes, so I'm thrilled about 645. I believe it's higher, and I still think it's probably give it another 15 to 20,000. Eventually we'll get there now that the methodology is changing. If we can get the county cap, we'll be there much sooner.
Will Jones from Local 4. I'm just curious, do you have any data that shows the demographics of the people who are moving in the city in terms of race, income, family, single?
All this is purely a housing unit count. That's what the annual estimate is. And so all we know is that we've got 2,000 new housing units and 2,000 renovated housing units. This is a city that's open to everybody. And depending on the neighborhood, there's different mixes. But this annual estimate doesn't give you those numbers.
And I want to piggyback off of, sorry.
Well, I just wanted to follow up. In September, the Census Bureau releases something called the American Community Survey. And so in September, we will be able to see the 24 data on all the demographics, income, socioeconomic status, housing, et cetera. You can compare that with the previous year to get some guesstimate as to who is moving in and who's moving out.
And I want to piggyback off of Darren's question about where is this growth happening? Do you all have specific data that you can give to us that this tract grew by 555 residents, this tract?
What we have is a citywide number, but if you wanted, all you'd have to do, is anybody hear from the land bank? They can tell you which neighborhoods have sold the most houses, which would give you a roadmap, but I can tell you it's going to be Morningside, going to be basically anywhere in southwest Detroit where it's hard to find a vacant house. It is certainly the north end. It is now very difficult to find a vacant house. The land bank could take you through the areas that had the highest sale of vacant houses and the highest level of renovations. But again, this is a citywide number. So we supply the Census Bureau with the number of new housing permits as well as the renovated units. But I just say, drive up and down the neighborhoods. It's one end of the city to the other.
Okay, thank you.
Morning, Mayor. Jordan Burroughs with CBS News Detroit. Thank you, Kurt. Thank you, city leaders, for addressing the population growth today. My question is for anybody else in the back. Can anyone share a personal anecdote as to how this population growth has affected your life? I would just like to hear kind of from someone who's maybe lived in the city for a decade plus, or maybe you've only lived in the city for 1 to 2 years, just how this growth, you've seen it change personally for you and your family, please.
Thank you. John George, Detroit Blightbusters, Artist Village. We come from the old Redford community. I've actually lived in that neighborhood 67 years next month. We just finished, thanks to the mayor and the council and others, building 48 units of new affordable housing in Old Redford. So we now have 48 new families right around the corner from our community center. So we're most definitely seeing the fruits of our labor, to say the very least. And we are going to continue to stabilize and revitalize that community and create some opportunity and hope.
Do you hear from those families?
Well, actually, we're going to be inviting them to the village for a welcome to the neighborhood party and barbecue. Of course, we'll have a DJ and a lot of music and a lot of art, a lot of food.
Well, give me the address. Let me know where that's
Certainly.
happening, all right?
17340 Lasser, right next to the Redford Theater.
You've got an announcement. Why don't you go ahead and make it?
Well, we do, as a matter of fact, a couple of them. On June 2nd, the mayor and hopefully our friends from the council and others will be joining us at the ribbon cutting of the 48 units. And of course, on the 28th, again, thanks to the mayor and the city council and a lot of folks and volunteers, we'll be opening up the new Artist Alley in Old Redford. So there's a lot of positive things that are going on in Northwest Detroit and of course across the city.
One more follow-up for you. What do you hope those 48 families say to you about this population growth? Obviously, the goal is to have sustainability and have them live here, hopefully for decades and generations to come. What do you hope they say to you when you meet them and hopefully bond over a pulled pork sandwich?
Certainly. Well, you know, we started Blightbusters 37 years ago. Albert Mack, Felix Wright, and myself, we started, you know, sweeping up glass and boarding up crack houses and picking up bottles and debris. But it's always been about the children. It's always been about having a safe, clean, affordable home in which to raise your family. And I think they will appreciate our hard work and effort to provide safe, clean, affordable housing. Thanks to the governor and our state reps and our senator, we were able to get a special grant that brought the rents down in the $525 range for a two-bedroom apartment. So it's one of the most affordable apartments in the city. And again, our work started because of the children, and it will continue.
Can you say your name one more time, please?
John George, Detroit Blightbusters, Artist Village.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Good morning, Mayor. John Hewitt, WWJ. Two quick questions. One has kind of been addressed, but just to land on it, we're talking 645, 705. From what I'm hearing, you guys think 660, 665 is the actual in Detroit. Do you have a number you could peg that you think is actually how many people we have living here?
You know, we've gone from 631 to 638 to 645 the last 2 years. And if we win this county cap thing, it'll grow significantly higher next year. But we all know, you know, the census happened during COVID. People got missed. We all know that. I can't go back and fix the baseline. The oddity is there's no legal way to do it. What I can do is challenge the individual years. And nothing made me madder than after they missed all those people in 2020, they came out in 21 and say we dropped again. When I'm seeing people move in all over. So what we've done is, at least we've fixed the annual estimate in a significant way, but there's easily 20,000 more people in their county.
My last question is in a macro view, as you leave later this year, will COVID be the low point? You made the comment earlier, no reason why this should not continue. I'm interested in some of the reasons or pillars why you think that, and not to be flippant with the question, but what the next governor potentially and lawmakers can do in Lansing to assist with Detroit and other urban communities.
Well, if the state has the right governor, Detroit will go up even faster in the future. The great thing about this is, Kurt doesn't want to endorse. But the great thing about this is COVID is actually helping the population side. You're seeing office being converted to residential. So it has hurt us in one sense in that we have fewer people working during the day, but it's helping in another sense in that downtown and midtown are turning more and more into neighborhoods, in Corktown are all turning more into neighborhoods.
But what makes you optimistic 5, 10, 15 years
so,
that this trend goes
Richard,
on?
how many housing units you got under construction today?
436 at Fisher and then another 144 down.
Okay, so I got one guy here is close to 600 just underway in his project. Roxbury's got to be approaching a couple hundred. Of course, Dan Gilbert's building the second tallest building in the state. They haven't begun to move folks in there. And then you've been to our press conferences. We're renovating vacant apartment buildings in every corner of this city. None of those have been counted. In fact, this is really a year lag in what gets counted. And so I'm very confident that what you've had is a partnership between the mayor and the council that committed to this housing, rebuilding it in every neighborhood. I don't think that's going to change.
Thank you.
Hi, Mayor Louis Aguilar, Detroit News. Congratulations, everyone. I keep thinking about reports by Detroit Future City, which they show over 10 years that the black population has been lost by a third, and the middle-class neighborhoods keep declining. I wonder if you could talk about what these new numbers say to you.
Again, so there's so many ways to slice statistics. But at least the last numbers I saw, this city is 78% African American. Is that right, Kurt? So there's no doubt about the identity of this community, but we are a community that's open to everybody. Every single one of these annual numbers, when the poverty numbers come out, show that the income of Detroiters is growing faster than the state average. And, we opened up a Jeep plan and moved 4,000 families to the middle class at one time. But this is going to be, we hadn't had an auto plant open in this town in 20 years. And we're continuing to bring those kinds of jobs back. And we're just going to keep going. When you open a Lear plant, when you open a Dakota dashboard plant, you open a plant at Amazon with 2,600 jobs, each one of those is a step in the right direction. But the way you grow the middle class is continue to bring the jobs back into the city, and we're just going to keep doing it.
Last question, just to make it clear, do you actually think 7,000 people moved in last year, or is the Census Bureau doing a better job?
No. I think there's no doubt in my mind.
Okay.
We grew 7,000 a year for the last 2 years. Again, it isn't actually that hard. We could have told them, because we know we've got 2,000 more vacant houses being occupied every year on renovations. We know we've got 2,000 more units being built in the city. We knew that was the case. But I think, a little over 1% a year annual growth, 7,000 a year, I think is what's happening. It allows us to grow without pushing the folks who have been here out. And is, of course, a big part of why we continue to build so much affordable housing is we don't want to push anybody out. But a city should be able to absorb a 1% a year growth. And that's how you go past Portland. We were 29th place, then 27th place this year, and 26th place. This is the kind, in my mind, of sustained growth the city of Detroit should aspire to.
And do you think that growth has been happening much longer than even now the census recognizes?
Again, they're starting to get it. If you actually go back, they've now said we started growing in 2022 with their revision. So they've now given us credit for 3 years. But whatever, I can debate the past. I think an annual growth rate of 7,000 a year for the last 2 years is the first time the Census Bureau and I have agreed on anything since I've been here.
Thank you.
Morning. Malachi Barrett from Bridge Detroit. At the top, you said Detroit is driving the state's population growth. I'd like you to just speak a little bit more about that, but specifically because the state is grappling with this idea of how do we grow, and I've been wondering about where Detroit fits into that compared to places like Grand Rapids.
So, Grand Rapids is the second biggest grower, and I can talk about the state all day long, but last year, Michigan led the United States in people under the age of 30 moving out. The future of this state has got to be to create opportunities where our young people stay, where they want to move in. We are doing that in the city of Detroit. You go through, if you look at who's renovating these houses, it tends to be younger people starting out in their lives or in early stages with their families. If you look at who's moving into the new apartments, we do have some retirees whose kids have left for college, but mostly, again, it's young people. If you look at Grand Rapids, they have also been very successful at creating an atmosphere for career opportunities for young people. And at the end of the day, cities across America are the magnets for young people. The states that are thriving, their cities are thriving. And for the first time, and Kurt's right, we'll see demographics in September, but I will predict the demographics will show that it is younger families and younger individuals moving in. If you just go around the folks in these buildings, when did you move in?
2021, and I bought my house last year.
There you go. So you're helping the statistic.
Yep. Okay, all right. Relax, everybody. Do you feel like cities are in competition with each other within the state? We certainly are fighting against, LA and other places. But,
no. I think that we are in competition with Illinois and Indiana and Ohio and Pennsylvania. And I think we need to create lots of opportunities of different kinds of housing options. But, I'm proud of this. Livonia is trying to build a whole new downtown. Sterling Heights is building a whole new downtown. Northville is building a whole new downtown. You are seeing cities who are fundamentally rethinking their housing options to attract the next generation. And the fact is, we can complain that the next generation wants something different and then watch as they leave. But you're seeing more and more city leaders start to recognize that these young people want to be in a more dense environment. They want to drive less. They'd like more things nearby. And you're seeing a lot of communities respond, and I love it. I want everybody to respond. It makes it easier for us to attract businesses here if the workers who work there have a lot of choices on where to live.
Last question, maybe this is something Kurt can answer. I've had some people reach out and wonder how much immigration is playing a role in this. Do you have any insight into that?
I'll let Kurt talk about it too, but I'm going to keep talking about methodology. City methodology is different than state and county methodology. City methodology is housing units. Has nothing to do with people moving in and out, has nothing to do with immigration. Okay. What they have said is we have 4,000 more housing units. You can conclude for yourself if you look at who's renovating the houses in the neighborhood or who's moving into the new apartments. But it doesn't affect these numbers, but I'll let Kurt give you a more technical answer.
You're the demographer now. I don't know. Yeah, a lot of the stories talked about the U.S. population grew faster this time because the Census Bureau came up with new data on immigration. That also translated to state populations and filtered somewhat into the counties because they have to add up to the state. But as the mayor said, we're talking housing units, so it's all based on that. And Detroit, obviously we've seen Southwest Detroit as a immigration mecca, and certainly around Hamtramck area and a couple other areas. But it's not been one of the immigrants are not coming to Detroit in the large numbers. What we're seeing more is persons of all races and ethnic groups coming into the city and choosing, and as was said about the neighborhoods, more younger people moving into the city because that's where they want to be. But yes, immigration has played a role in kind of the grand scheme, but it's not. We don't feel at all that that's what's driving this. This is pure population growth from a very broad segment of the population.
Thank you.
Okay. I got to make this comment because I've had press conferences where there wasn't a single reporter here from Detroit. But Dana, you're in the city now, right? And Louis, you're in the city.
Born and raised.
So we're to the point now where the people covering us are moving here and living here, and that is a fundamental difference, and I think it reflects the overall trends of what's occurring. So go ahead.
Okay, young people. Can you define young people? What are you talking about?
How old are you?
Not young. So that's why I'm asking. Everybody's young. Young and single, young and families. What are we?
Oh, I would say both, for sure. We still have issues with the schools that Dr. Vitti and the school board are working on, that we are not getting the families with children coming back at the numbers that we want. It tends to be 1 or 2 adults, or it is, we get a fair number of families with 2 and 3 and 4-year-olds. Ultimately, the future of this city depends upon those families wanting to stay here and send their kids to the schools.
Okay.
Anything else?
Thank you, everybody.
All right. Oh, we got another one. Okay. Okay, so I don't know, where do you live?
I have businesses in Detroit.
Okay.
But I live in Northville.
Okay,
So,
all right, that's okay, just checking.
Yeah. So I'm a Domino's franchisee. I have around 7 Domino's pizza stores in Detroit.
Oh, good.
I just wanted to know, what is the city of Detroit doing for business owners? Because so far I've been sitting over here, I haven't heard.
So is Marcus here? So we will have in the next few weeks, and maybe, I know Council President is going to introduce the ordinance, but Marcus von Koff, our Chief Operating Officer, has torn apart the licensing process for starting new businesses. You are familiar with how difficult it is if you've got 7 stores. I think Council President is planning to sponsor something. Maybe I'd ask her to speak to it.
Well, we're really excited to essentially make it easier to do business in Detroit. We want to eliminate some of the duplicative license requirements that the state already requires. We want to create more of a by right use for some of the zoning and create a concierge team that can walk you through city processes. And so we want to make it easier for you to set up shop here and to really make renovations and to expand your business here in the city of Detroit. So stay tuned. That will be forthcoming in the next few weeks.
Okay, all right.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So right now, to open your Domino's store,
Yes.
you need a health department permit, you need a building code permit, and you need a City of Detroit business license as well.
Yes.
What if you didn't need the City of Detroit business license and you just relied on the health department and the building code? How'd you feel about that?
That'd be great.
Okay.
That'd be smooth.
So stay tuned, because one of the members up here may be sponsoring something along those lines.
All right. Okay,
All right.
cool.
All right. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, everybody. We've got to let the mayor get out of here. He's got to break ground on another 60 units of affordable housing a couple miles from here. So.
Sean's still counting.
All right, thank you, guys.
Get him over there.
Yeah.